Global media measurement and optimization company Integral Ad Science or IAS, who works with some of the world's largest advertisers, publishers and media platforms, in an exclusive conversation with Storyboard 18's Delshad Irani, Yannis Dosios, Chief Commercial Officer of IAS, gives us an inside view of the opportunities and challenges in ad tech, from trust and transparency hurdles in programmatic to the evolution of short-form videos and the exponential connected TV growth across the world. Yannis also gives us his view on the biggest tech disruption of all, artificial intelligence, its impact on ad tech and the trends to watch out for in 2024. Listen in.
Hello and welcome to CNBC TV18, Yannis. It's lovely to have you on the show.
Very good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So, Yannis, let me just kick off straight up by asking you something that's at the sort of the heart of the matter when it comes to programmatic advertising, which is essentially what IAS does and helps advertisers and marketers do better. Trust and transparency, right? Let me first ask you, what does trust and transparency entail today in the programmatic space?
Well, it's a very important question because programmatic is such an important channel for advertising today, and it's also a very rapidly growing channel. Now, one of the things about programmatic that makes trust and transparency very important is that it's a fairly complicated channel. There's a lot of players and intermediaries that go into programmatic between an advertiser and at the end of the other side, a publisher. So you have an advertiser that's buying programmatically through a buying platform like a demand-side platform or DSP. They may also use an agency. Then they buy through a supply-side platform and an exchange that's conducting an auction. And then eventually the inventory of a particular publisher and website and particular URL gets used. So each of those steps includes an additional hop, an additional level of opacity. So there's often a lot of lack of transparency around the different steps that the ad goes through. And it's really important for advertisers to have better transparency on how their ad dollars move through this whole channel, and to make sure that they trust that the maximum amount of their spend results in quality media and conversion. That's why it's so important to get transparency and trust in programmatic.
Mm-hmm. So then let me ask you this then. Why is there such a challenge to sort of provide that trust and transparency? And then again, what is IAS doing globally to help sort of get to that goal of having that degree of trust and transparency when it comes to programmatic?
So IAS is a leading media measurement and optimization platform around the world. It's a global company. And its big differentiation in the market is that it focuses on providing the most actionable data than any other provider to deliver better results for the leading advertisers and publishers and media platforms. So with regards to how IAS helps drive this better performance for programmatic for advertisers, we see the world in I guess two different ways in which we help advertisers. One is measure and the other one is to optimize. So we help them as an independent third party measure every single impression that they buy and make sure that it's viewed by real people in a brand safe and suitable environment in the right geography. And once we measure that, we help them then use programmatic advertising to optimize against all their ad buys, to make sure they eliminate before they even buy any brand unsafe content or any non-viewable or any low quality content. And that's why IAS plays a very important role in building that trust and transparency in the ecosystem. Now, the reason this matters for advertisers is that I speak with a lot of marketers and a lot of CMOs globally, and they really care about minimizing waste, minimizing spend that's not actually delivering results for them. And they also care a lot about maximizing the return on ad spend, or ROAS or ROI. So through a lot of these programmatic solutions that IAS can offer them, they can optimize and maximize their ROI.
What is their top concern right now?
One big concern of marketers and advertisers and CMOs is the complexity of so much data. There's a lot of data that exists around all their digital buying across all those platforms. They buy on open web, they buy on social networks, on CTV, on mobile apps, on audio. So there's a lot of data to process. And I think it's hard to know what's working and what's not. And a lot of their concerns around this are three things. One is, how do I make sure that my brand is kept safe? So as I reach a lot of new audiences in all those exciting new channels, and they are exciting, how do I make sure that their ads are showing always in a brand safe and suitable environment? So that's one very important thing. The second thing is, how do I minimize that type of wasted spend? How do I avoid spending, overpaying for impressions that run on the wrong device, or they're not viewed, or they're fraudulent, or can even damage my brand? And increasingly, we're seeing that many marketers are being asked to prove the ROI and prove that they're a revenue source for their companies. So make a more direct tie between advertising dollars spent or advertising spend and outcomes and results and ROI. So that end step of tying to outcomes is becoming increasingly important for marketers.
Can you maybe just zoom out a little bit and tell me about the CTV landscape right now? What are advertisers looking at? What are the key challenges?
It's CTV is such an exciting space because it's so rapidly growing. It is actually the fastest growing subsection, if you will, or platform within advertising spend right now. I think it's around the world, and in India as well. I know there was the men's cricket World Cup. By the way, I'm a huge fan of cricket, and me and my three boys. And that was a recent event where there was a lot of CTV spend. Some other stats to share with you is that eMarketer estimates that the CTV ad spend in the United States is going to grow to 26 billion in 2023. So super rapid growth. So more and more users are spending time on CTV. More and more ads are being viewed on CTV. And here are some of the things that this opportunity also creates as challenges for marketers. First of all, just getting the basics right. Marketers want to make sure that they have confidence that they get what they paid for on CTV. Because typically they're higher CPMs or higher cost per thousand impressions that they spend. They want to make sure that the ad is actually viewed. And that means that the TV was not off. It was on when the ad was playing. Or that the ad actually played on the size of device that they bought. They bought a television size screen, not necessarily an iPad. So they want to make sure they don't get charged for a higher size screen and they get served on a smaller size screen. So these are some of the things that are getting the basics fundamentals right that need to happen for CTV advertisers. But then advertisers also are starting to have more and more sophisticated needs. They want to get the same transparency on CTV that they get on regular linear television. So they need to really understand not just the channel that their ads showed in CTV, but what is the actual show? What is the actual episode of the show? Maybe what's the actual video and the content in that video that their ads were shown, just to make sure that that is appropriate. The context is appropriate for their brand and to make sure that it performs. So it's that type of transparency that advertisers are seeking. And this is why this is an exciting area for IAS, because they're seeking independent third parties to validate that inventory on CTV and to confirm for them that it has the right quality and to give them the right level of transparency.
So short form video, of course, huge market, booming. Just a little bit about some of the sort of key measurement tools that marketers, advertisers can use, and how are you making it easier, perhaps?
You're right. Short form video is absolutely taking off across all the social platforms, and marketers are increasingly using it. One of the things that it creates as a challenge is that in order for you to be comfortable as a marketer to put your brand next to this, you want to know what's in the video, and you really need to understand it on a frame by frame basis. The current solutions up until recently, which included things like metadata, so short descriptors of what the video was about, just are not good enough because they don't really capture all the context of the video and they don't tell you what's really happening in every frame of the video. So this is what IAS has really focused a lot on. We are a science company, like integral ad science. Science is in our name, and we've been working with artificial intelligence and ML for the last few years. So we used AI and ML to develop a product called Total Media Quality. And what it does is it takes that classification of the short form video or video content in general to the next level by breaking down a video frame by frame, analyzing every single image and sound and text, and then really classifying that video into different types of risk categories and levels using industry standards.